Argentine President Javier Milei and his sister Karina Milei were summoned to a prejudicial hearing for the Libra cryptocurrency fraud. U.S. President Donald Trump stated that Latin American countries must choose between China and the United States. And 500 graduates of the Israeli Army Reserve Commanders Corps signed a petition calling on the regime to return detainees and end aggressions in the Gaza Strip. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Argentine President Javier Milei and his sister Karina Milei were summoned to a prejudicial hearing for the Libra cryptocurrency fraud. Attorney Nicolas Ossut, who represents some 25 Argentine and foreign victims, summoned the heads of the libertarian government and other officials for May 15th, alleging a direct damage estimated at $4.5 million. This would be a preliminary hearing, a mandatory mediation prior to the filing of a civil lawsuit for damages. This Tuesday marked 2 months since the crypto scandal, which began when President Javier Milei promoted the purchase of the Libra cryptocurrency through the social network X. The token afterwards fell sharply, causing millionaire losses and fraud allegations. Also in Argentina, the General Confederation of Labor calls for a new march for next April 30. During the mobilization meeting, the union leaders also began to discuss a change in the strategy of struggle against the adjustment policies of the government of Javier Milei. Pensioners and students organizations will also be called to join the mobilizations, which will be reproduced in the capitals of the provinces. It is expected that could be an important mobilization because the income of Argentinians has declined. There is repression and also an agreement with the International Monetary Fund that will condition the destinies of many Argentinians to continue doing carry trade. In Brazil, women's organizations, students and family members of Tainara Santos continue to demand justice in a demonstration in Cachoeira after the femicide of the 27-year-old. Those who gather seek effective action by the authorities for a sentence for the murder of the young woman who disappeared after meeting with her ex-partner Jorge Anderson Santos last October 9, 2024, against whom she had a protection order. In 2024, Brazil registered a total of 1,459 femicides. Moreover, since the approval of the law that created the crime of femicide 10 years ago, the southern country has registered at least 11,859 victims until January 2024. This Tuesday, the Peruvian justice system sentenced former President Ollanta Humala to 15 years in prison for alleged aggravated money laundering. The former President Ollanta Humala was condemned for the crime of aggravated money laundering in the modality of conversion and concealment of illicit assets in the context of the 2006 and 2011 electoral campaigns. The court also sentenced former First Lady Nadine Heredia to 15 years in prison for her involvement. However, Heredia did not attend the hearing. One of the arguments of the magistrates to convict Humala and his wife, Heredia, was that 57 contributors to the 2006 campaign and 55 contributors to the 2011 campaign denied having made deposits registered with the National Office of Electoral Processes to the Nationalist Party. In this context, the government of Brazil granted diplomatic asylum to former Peruvian First Lady Nadine Heredia. Peruvian executive granted a safe conduct to the First Lady so that she can travel to the South American country. The Peruvian Ministry of Foreign Affairs detailed that the government has provided the warranties for the transfer of Heredia as well as her son Samir Humala. Heredia remained in the Brazilian embassy in Lima after the sentence. The Brazilian government requested the departure of the asylum seekers, and the territorial state is obligated to give immediately the necessary warranties and the corresponding safe conduct. Venezuela is moving towards the conformation of a new state where the communes are the protagonists. Do you want to know how these communal projects have advanced in Venezuela? Let's take a look at the following report by our colleague Leonardo Urrieta.
This commune, located in the state of Miranda, in the north-central part of the country, is composed by 5 communal councils. The organized community has executed 3 projects approved in the popular consultations that have been carried out in this country.
The first project of 2024 is where we are right now. It is this wall that we recovered, 27 meters by 6 meters, 0.20 wide. And we made this boulevard that you can see where we are right now. It took us 20 days to make this wall, and we already had the whole program since it fell in 2020.
The works approved was the construction of 132 stairs to facilitate the mobility of the elderly. As in the case of Mr. Jesus Gonzalez, 65 years old, who had been unable to leave his house for 2 years.
This project was the one we were waiting for, because the stairs were very, very damaged. They were not as safe as they are now with the handrails, and with this we all benefit. Some of us can go out more than others because of the health difficulties we have. Some more than others can go out now to do the errands we want. And this project came as a surprise, because we had been waiting for it for a long time. And the day it came, it was a blessing for us. Well, we are asking the citizens themselves, look, these are the projects. Which one is the most convenient for you? Which is the most convenient for the community? For the benefit of all this is the initial part, and from then on people will realize that it is worth it.
Local residents prepare to elect new projects in the 4th popular consultation to be held on April 27th.
The participation more than anything else of the communities, of the people, the members of our community. They are the participants. They are the ones who guarantee the projects, so the importance of celebrating that day is that the whole community participates so that their dream becomes a reality.
Adriana Gonzalez is one of the beneficiaries of the 200 communal warehouses that have been inaugurated in the sector.
Today we offer delicatessen, we offer groceries, and today we are, as they say, enlarged. Now we are going to offer protein, and we are going to offer vegetables, fruits and vegetables. But this is an opportunity to offer a more complex service to the community.
We have to ensure that these bodegas, that this plan, which is framed in the José Antonio de Sucre plan, is a plan that truly delivers to each territory what the plan means for the communal bodega.
The communes work under the national development plan known as the 7 Transformations, promoted by the Venezuelan government, which seeks to build a new state.
En la Cámara de Marcos da Silva, Leonardo Urrieta, teleSUR, Miranda, Venezuela.
And with this information, we go for a short break coming up. But first, remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. This Wednesday, Cubans remember a new anniversary of the declaration of the socialist character of the revolution. 64 years ago, on April 16, 1961, Fidel Castro addressed the crowds gathered at the corner of 23rd and 12th avenues during an act honoring the victims of recent U.S. bombings. At that moment, the Cuban leader ratified before the people and the world that the revolution was socialist in nature, as the workers vowed to defend their conquest. Every year, Cubans gather at the same corner of the capital city to remember and ratify that same commitment. The President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, stated that her government is preparing to receive the nationals returned from the United States following their intention to increase deportations. President Sheinbaum instructed to maintain the 10 attention centers in the northern border states of the country that were installed in February. The attention centers will have services such as electricity, water, internet, and telephone lines to provide medical attention, food, and lodging to Mexican migrants who need it. It should be noted that Mexico received more than 24,000 deportees in the first 8 weeks of Trump's new presidency, including 4,567 foreigners. A U.S. court held a hearing on Tuesday on the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Salvadoran deported by administrative error to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. The Salvadoran citizen continues to be deprived of his liberty in his country of origin, even though he had a court order protecting him from deportation since 2019. Since his arrest on March 12, 2025, the family of the kidnapped migrant has been demanding his release and safe return to the U.S. For its part, the government of El Salvador underlined that there were no reasons to return Kilmar Abrego Garcia after qualifying him as a terrorist. In this sense, Jennifer Vasquez, wife of Kilmar Abrego, says she will not stop fighting until she sees him alive, and demands that the Trump administration, Bukele administration, not play with her husband's life.
It's 34 days after his disappearance, and I stand before you filled with spirit that refuses to bring down. I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive. That I find myself pleading with the Trump administration and the Bukele administration to stop playing political games with the life of Kilmar. Our family is torn apart during this scary time, and our children miss their dad so much. Enough is enough. My family can't be robbed from another day without seeing Kilmar. This administration has already taken so much from my children's, from Kilmar's mother, brother, sisters.
U.S. President Donald Trump said during an interview with Fox News that Latin American countries must choose between China and the United States. The statement happened in the context of Panama's decision to abandon the China Silk Road after he declared he believes that the other countries in the region should do the same. President Trump's statements come in the midst of several political tensions with the Latin American region, in which some countries have already made decisions regarding the U.S. president's policies. Recent tariffs, massive deportations, in addition to the tone with which the U.S. president has addressed certain issues, such as the Panama Canal and the border with Mexico, are some of the situations that the region is currently facing. While in Malaysia for his tour of Southeast Asian countries, the president of China, Xi Jinping, attended a welcoming ceremony hosted by King Sultan Ibrahim. At the event, which also had the participation of Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the Chinese president, and senior officials of his cabinet. Diplomatic meetings are planned during Xi's visit, where bilateral cooperation and other regional are discussed. Malaysia is the second stop of the Chinese president in his tour of 3 Southeast Asian countries that also includes Vietnam and Cambodia. And we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Approximately 500 graduates of the Israeli Army Reserve Commanders Course signed a petition calling on the regime to return detainees and end aggressions in the Gaza Strip. Reportedly, 472 former Special Forces reserve fighters have endorsed the demand. Meanwhile, the Daily Haaretz announced that some 1,700 artists and intellectuals in Israel have signed another petition demanding the release of Israeli prisoners and the cessation of brutalities. The newspaper noted that the number of Israelis who signed petitions to stop the aggressions and return the hostages exceeded 100,000 people in 5 days. This comes at a time of increasing internal pressure on the cabinet of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Doctors Without Borders declared that Israeli military operations and the blockade of humanitarian aid have turned Gaza into a graveyard for Palestinians and those who help them. As Israeli forces resume and expand their military offensive by air, land and sea in the Gaza Strip, forcibly displacing people and blocking aid, Palestinian lives are once again being systematically destroyed. A series of deadly attacks by Israeli forces have demonstrated a blatant disregard for the safety of humanitarian and medical personnel. Doctors Without Borders urged Israeli authorities to immediately lift the inhumane and deadly siege, protect the lives of Palestinians, humanitarian and medical personnel, and all parties to restore and maintain the ceasefire. Jordan's intelligence department announced that it has frustrated a series of dangerous plots aimed at destabilizing the country, inciting chaos and causing material destruction. According to the General Intelligence Department, 16 individuals belonging to the Muslim Brotherhood suspected of involvement in the plans have been arrested. The group allegedly worked on manufacturing rockets using both locally sourced tools and smuggled components as part of illegal activities, posing a serious threat to national security. Jordanian media reported that the suspects sought to recruit and train individuals within the country, and some members were even sent abroad to receive a specialized training. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, local authorities reported that the death toll from flooding rose to 72. Official figures pointed out that another 170 people were injured in the floods and that heavy rains have displaced more than 5,000 citizens from their homes. In this context, thousands of families remain in damaged homes or in temporary shelters, exposed to health risk and further flooding. Authorities continue rescue efforts and full assessment of the crisis in the country, prioritizing the most urgent needs of affected civilians. Niger's Transitional Council declares Hausa as national language and abandons French as decolonization measure. Hausa is the most widely spoken language in Niger, followed by Sarma Shongai. French had been the official language since 1960 when the Europeans colonized the territory, imposing French as the national language, although Hausa was the most widely spoken. It is worth noting that Niger withdrew from the International Organization of the Francophonie last month and recently renamed several streets, which previously had French names, in its capital in the city of Niamey, all part of the symbolic decolonization of the Nigerian territory. And we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.